They have it all wrong. Because the Crown completely misses the mark when it comes to representing Diana, the secular Princess of Wales. Hello, with all the regal splendor, we warmly welcome you to the Princess Diana News channel. Now, let's get to the video. On November 16th, a new season and the final season of The Crown will arrive on Netflix. We've heard enough to know that the portrayal of Diana, the secular Princess of Wales, is simply wrong. Based on the information we already know, it is understandable that William would feel upset about what they are doing in his mother's memory. Harry, on the other hand, is on the Netflix payroll, so it's not like he can really argue. I don't know about you, but personally, I refuse to watch it. Especially after finding out they were going to paint Diana as a ghost. I mean, how wrong is that? But that's not the only thing they got wrong. According to Jenny Bond, The Crown has Diana as a shrunken violet. But that wasn't really who he was. Royal correspondent Jenny Bond wrote in The Telegraph that just 9 months before her death, Princess Diana knew Camilla was the love of Charles's life and insisted she couldn't stand being king. Now Jenny Bond knows her stuff. He knew Diana intimately, sure, he first met her at work, but as the two spent more time together, we can say they became friends. As Jenny Bond points out, one of the problems with portraying someone who lived so recently is that many people like me knew Diana and sometimes find Becky's courageous efforts unconvincing. According to Jenny Bond, actress Elizabeth Debicki, chosen to play Diana, is right on several points. I mean, she looks like him, she's tall, she's got the right voice, she's got the right manners. But when it comes to Diana's presence, what she really was as a person, what kind of effect she had on the room when she walked in, apparently Debicki is a bit side. Jenny Bond notes that she actually used to tilt her head to the side and look doe-eyed through her eyelashes, but not always. The Crown exaggerates this just as it embellishes or imagines so many things about the royal family. He goes on to write, in her final years, the Diana I knew would have looked you straight in the eye. She had confidence in herself and, as she told me, she had grown. For example, he claimed to have successfully taken control of divorce negotiations that he said, I followed the advice of Mark Phillips and Tony Snowdon. They both told me to make sure everything was taken care of before signing anything. But the palace kept trying to do everything before the details were decided. This is why I threatened to withdraw from the negotiations completely. She smiles sadly that it worked. I agree with Jenny Bond that when you're playing someone who lived so recently, it's important to think about how they would have wanted to be portrayed. I mean, of course, when she was young, when she first married Charles, she was basically a child. Diana was quite naive and perhaps a little gentle, but as she grew older she became much stronger. By not taking this transformation into account, the Crown is truly doing a disservice to Diana's memory. Jenny Bond goes on to write, she was clever. He told me that he had received a pompous letter written by one of the Queen's principal courtiers, whose name he mentioned. It shocked her and she held it in her hand in case she needed it. Diana was not stupid. And I think Jenny Bond touches on something important here. Diana was not a victim, not in the way Harry would want to be. Even though Diana was treated unfairly by Charles, the palace, and often by the media, she didn't give up and let them win. She wouldn't be anyone's victim, and that's definitely something Harry and Meghan could learn from her. Diana wasn't so obsessed with making people feel sorry for her. He continued to hold his head high and no matter what, he would take control of his life and live it on his own terms, but it turns out that what's missing from the Crown may be even worse than this aspect of Diana's personality. Jenny Bond writes, it was, in her opinion, a term of great endearment, and she found it amusing that after being so pampered in her real life, she had completely forgotten that you had to put gas afterwards in the car. Without police protection or drivers. He said, I went out and jumped in, and it was empty. She laughed that little girlish laugh, according to Jenny Bond, with her head thrown back as she happily removed the mouse. And as for the victimization narrative, well, according to Jenny Bond, she sometimes felt and acted like a victim, which is something the Crown describes accurately, but over the last couple of years she has struck me as a much more pragmatic realist. She had apparently accepted, as much as any woman could, the fact that her husband had loved someone else. Jenny Bond continues to write. "Let's face it," he said as we sipped ice water, "Camilla is the love of Charles's life and always has been. I no longer feel any animosity towards him that I actually really think it deserves some form of recognition. After all, she has been loyal and extremely discreet to him for so long. You know, I find it crazy how Harry and Meghan act like they're getting revenge on Charles and Camilla for what they did to Diana. But the truth is, Diana had had enough. Why can't Harry get over the fact that his father married the woman he loves? Why can't he accept the fact, so many years after his parents divorced, that maybe his father was wrong to marry his mother? In many ways, Diana was the victim of this whole mess. So why is Harry so convinced that he is the real victim? I understand, as we all do, that the Crown is intended for entertainment purposes. But still, how incredibly insensitive that we are talking about a family that still exists today. They still live. These characters are not just characters from a television series. These are real, living, breathing people whose lives are being destroyed by the show. And yes, I know, it's supposed to be fictional, but it's not fictional, that's the point. We all know that there are so many people who don't know anything about the royal family. All they know is what they see on the Crown and what they should feel. We already know that William is not a fan of the series. And Harry? Does Harry really think what they're doing is right, turning his mother into a ghost? Do you really agree with this, or he just has to accept it because, well, you have to pay the bills one way or another? What exactly did Meghan tell him when they were considering moving to California? He works for the same company that makes fun of his late mother's life and death just to make a quick buck, and it's not just his mother, it's really all family. Even though I refuse to watch the series, I'm still interested in how Harry is portrayed. Are they going to treat him with kid gloves since he's on their payroll? Or will they be honest in describing the feud between Harry and the rest of the family? I think we know the answer. Jenny Bond concludes by saying that Diana meant many things to many people. Bad wife, heroine, crusader, lover, prey to the paparazzi. Capturing all of this was probably impossible from the start. And perhaps it should never have been attempted. Because to the two people who knew her best, William and Harry, she was simply their mother. And seeing his final weeks and death paraded on television for the enjoyment of a global audience is, in my opinion, cruel beyond measure to his children. That's it for the video. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and share with those interested. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks for joining us, have a great day, and stay tuned for upcoming videos.